Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Stop thinking a jawline brother is dumb. Yeah, I wanted to approach that. And, let me shout out C Boogie for introducing, well, he didn't quite call it a jawline brother, but I'll call it a jawline brother. At least they're introducing it to this space. That's almost that's as close to a C Boogie original. I mean, I don't know if he originated that, but you can't find that term on the internet. Or you can find it's like barely. So that dude, man, he could have a whole line of t-shirt with his savings. So shout out my young brother there. But I'm going to tell you what, there's always been that thing about dudes who emphasize more their intellect over dudes who might emphasize more their physicality. And that's deeper than what's going on in the black community. In fact, when people talking about that Pookie and Ray Ray thing and educated lame thing, that's all that is. And, if y'all listen to my video yesterday, it's that whole carnal intellectual thing. But at least in this century, well, last century, it went back to that whole jock versus nerd thing. Went back to that, and that's going back because, supposedly the nerds were like the smart ones. They weren't cool, but it was, the jocks, they were playing ball and they were getting all the fine, pretty cheerleaders and stuff. And it's always been that thing. In fact, there was a show on around 2002, 2003, around that time. It was called Average Joe, and it had a bunch of quite ordinary looking dudes. You could even call them lame. They had to win. One of them had to win the affection of this like real attractive woman away from some like stud model looking dudes, like buff hunks. And 3 seasons, the nerds only won once. In fact, they had to stop the show then. They were like, that was like a big deal. Of course, they had to give the nerd a makeover for him to win, but that says a lot. But anyway, it's always that thing of thinking, okay, if a dude might be conspicuously handsome, and especially if he may be muscular or something, he's automatically like not as smart. You get some dudes like that now, which is funny to me because I've known several professionals, educated professionals, dual degrees and stuff, who, they either like one of the schools I went to, American University, the dudes who were actually dominating like the intramural sports, the weight room and everything, they were actually like law students and grad students from other departments. And they were throwing up 400 pounds. And, as I get out, out in the world, you start seeing that because I worked in many gyms. And you had some cats in there, financial analysts, engineers, attorneys. And these cats in there, they muscular, they diesel as shit. But then, they get them out of the workout, shower, they walking out in some expensive suits. And it's the weirdest thing, and you still see it. Like I said, you see that in this whole Pookie and Ray Ray argument, because that's one of the things I've even heard some people say that, try to question like someone's IQ or something. And I'm just like, nah, if that brother is stocky or dead, that just means he's stocky or muscular or whatever, or conspicuously handsome, tall. It doesn't mean he ain't pick up a book. In fact, I remember some people got huffy over this video I did a while ago. And I'm going to do a part 2. I'm waiting for somebody else to do a video. Then I'm going to do a part 2. I already told them. And it was my Genius Bruiser video. My Genius Bruiser, where I talked about guys who were physically imposing, but they were also smart. And, of course, some people had some issue with it. And I let the issue go at that time. I didn't feel like jumping on the people because I already knew they weren't on that. But if you look at a lot of these professionals, or better yet, if you look at, I would say if you look at like two areas, federal law enforcement and special forces. these are some jawline dudes. These if you deal with real special forces, like special forces, and then also like federal agents. Like federal agents, they have to like FBI, DEA. Those dudes are some genius bruisers. A lot of them, because especially if they get into like some tactical stuff. Because I knew some DEA agents. Those dudes look like cartoon superheroes. I remember them because one looked like a classic. He was this Irish dude. I can't call his name. A couple Irish dudes. And, so I knew some brothers up in there, and they were just like, boom. They were like, pow. It's like big, muscular. Being government officers cursing like they on the streets. And, I know some FBI agents. These dudes ready to thump. These dudes could thump. They thump with Pookie and Ray, but then they also highly intelligent, which you had to be to get in some of these federal agencies. And then special forces, people forget you got some guys in there who, first of all, like say Navy SEALs. Now, those some hardcore dudes. And those dudes are trained. Like the entrance for training, just to even get there is incredible. And then these dudes they physically probably in the top shape in the world. Any special forces, wherever, always in the top physical shape. Because they can't have somebody like huffing and puffing in the middle of a firefight. I mean, like with Navy SEALs, they have what's called a Hell Week, where basically the whole week, you say in 7 days, they get maybe 3 hours of sleep. Because everything is thrown at them. And, that's how it is. But people forget, these people are deadly killers. Yeah, they physical. But a typical special forces, they typically know another language. They can blend in. So they have to be socially intelligent. They have to speak another language well. And in fact, that's why a lot of special forces guys, the few times they'll show a picture of them, like maybe, if they showed a picture of somebody in the Delta Force, they wouldn't identify. They identified just as some ordinary soldier, if that. But a lot of those guys, they go over to another country, be speaking all these languages and everything. But that's a level of intelligence right there. And you get a lot of dudes like that. But I think what it is with a lot of cats who are more intellectual, if they don't have that physical thing, they trying to look for a way to be more than the other person. Now, I remember like in 89 when it was when was it? 88? No, it was when the Redskins went to the Super Bowl with Doug Williams. And that's when there was a sportscaster named Jimmy the Greek. And he was talking about why black athletes were superior. And he was talking about eugenics and everything. It was funny. Nobody black actually got mad at him, but white people got hot. And so it reignited that argument, who's a better athlete. And I remember at the time, it was a white guy. He said, well, if y'all superior athletes, that means we have to be smarter. And I was like, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. But it's always that dichotomy. And, when I did that Genius Bruiser video, I was trying to say, nah, you can be both. You can be both. In fact, from my personal experience, dealing with federal agents, I actually knew some dudes in special forces. I knew a sergeant who trained special forces. Dealing with working in gyms where you had dudes making 6 figures, could throw up 400 pounds, and were high-level professionals, masters of the universe level professionals. You could do both. So, if you see some dude, he's on some hunk thing, don't think he on some, Moose from Riverdale type of thing. And of course, you do have some dudes who probably ain't that bright, but then you got some dudes who don't have that physicality. They ain't that bright either. So just want to throw that out there, and just to put it out there. Nobody need to get huffy over this. All right, I'm just gonna put that out there because you might start seeing another side of Rom. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Peace and blessings.